Hiya! Welcome! We're here with Records Roundup number 85 today, and I've got loads of stuff to show you today. This might be a pretty big one, so get yourselves comfortable, get the kettle on, or get a cold one out the fridge, whatever beverage you prefer, and settle in for the long haul, if you please. Right, so I won't waste any more time, let's just get cracking on. We'll start with a purchase that is actually a bundle. I didn't buy it as a bundle, it's just how it came because I got it direct from the company themselves, who are Sonic Seducer, a German gothic rock magazine. It was just the bundled 7-inch single that I wanted, but they did include the magazine as well. And the single is Entertain You by Within Temptation, and as you can see, the lovely singer from Within Temptation is the cover star on this edition of their mag. The green dot there, that indicates what colour the 7-inch vinyl should be. There are a few people selling this on Discogs, including Sonic Seducer themselves, so I went on their website, registered. I think they were a little bit cheaper to order from direct. It was all in German, but there was a translation extension in Safari, so it was simple enough really. And as you can probably tell, I've not actually opened this yet. So the magazine's got to be all in German, of little use to me, even though I did say one of my New Year's resolutions, and given that it's July now, I kind of let that one slip months ago, but one of my New Year's resolutions was to learn more German on Duolingo, and no, that's something that didn't really come about. Before we look at the important bit, a quick flick through this mag. Quite a popular magazine in Germany. Oh, it does come with a CD as well, which is stuck inside the pages. I didn't actually realise. Should have done really, because it says MIT CD on the front. It's like one of those old style magazine compilations with various artists on, but Within Temptation is one of them. Very nice. I will listen to that in my leisure. Interview on the page where the CD is stuck with Andy Taylor from Duran Duran, of all people. It's not actually glossy, this mag, it's sort of like that old, sort of cheaper feeling colour printed paper. Anyway, let me just chuck that over there. I wanted the single. You may have seen a recent video where I collected a few Within Temptation singles, a couple of EPs, or 3 EPs actually, and I think 3 7-inch singles, and this was one that wasn't too expensive on the aftermarket or from Sonic Seducer themselves. It didn't take long to come from Germany either. So is this the green one that I wanted? Before I find out, it's got a lyric insert and it is numbered on the back. I think that's going to be 156 out of 199 rather than just 56. It also came out with the magazine in black and red variants, I think. Green is my favourite colour, although I'm partial to red, with it being the colour of Nottingham Forest, of course. Garibaldi red. Yep, here we go. It's a translucent green there. Once again, looking quite dull on camera. Possibly looks better after the magic of the post-production edit. So not a music on vinyl issue. They may have had something to do with it, possibly. Just looking for their logo on there. Can't see it, but then again I've not got my glasses on. Most of those logos are very tiny. But it's the same sort of 7-inch as what I showed with the 3 from the Within Temptation haul video. It's got the track on side A and an instrumental on side B. So that is Entertain You.
You're gonna lose the war. Go ahead, hit
stick with Within Temptation though, moving on to Discogs Marketplace, because I managed to get this from a seller in the Netherlands, and this is Acoustic, the Artone Sessions. So it's got a Record Store Day exclusive sticker on. The copyright date on this, it came out, says on screen, I don't know why I'm struggling to look, 2024, so last year's Record Store Day. It's technically a promo really though, because this was actually given away for free at Dutch record stores that were participating in RSD over there. But obviously, as with anything that is meant to be free and only given to loyal or even disloyal customers, people are going to flip it. I say flip it, it didn't cost me too much this, even with international postage and a bit in taxes. I don't think it was much more than about £20 converted from a similar amount in euros. It's just black vinyl this, I believe, and it says the tracks on screen, so I won't go on too much about those. Another Within Temptation single, or EP really, for the collection. There is still others that I would like to get, and they're quite widely available, but they're just a little bit pricey for what they are currently on places like Discogs and eBay. Sticking with Discogs though, and here's something that I had in my Discogs want list for a little while, and suddenly I got an alert about it. It had not been for sale anywhere as long as I'd been looking for it, certainly, and then a UK seller was selling it for quite expensive. I think it was over 45, but I was able to make a best offer on Discogs and I got it for I think just over 40, so it's a lot for what is another EP actually. And I'm going to take it out of this rather horrible PVC sleeve, which I'll chuck away, but it is Peter Hook presents Joy Division Orchestrated and Dreams. So I think this is classed as an EP. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tracks on it, so EP or mini album, you decide. It is pre-owned, already opened. Lovely painting of Ian Curtis on the inner there. Will that be a photo of Macclesfield? No, I think it might be Stawell Memorial Church, it says, in Ordsall, actually. Give some credits. It's basically Peter Hook and the Light, although the Light aren't credited as such, but it looks to be all the current, or at the time of recording, members of the Light, plus the orchestra, extra singers, and what have you. So this is quite a recent thing, I think 2022. I don't know why I didn't notice this come out when it did. Not that I was really collecting, certainly not Peter Hook and the Light specifically. That's been very recent, and I've done a couple of videos about that. Even as a New Order fan, I thought that I would have heard more about this back in 2022, but I didn't. It's on Peter's own Hacienda Records label. Just another one for that collection. Normally I show these in a standalone New Order and Joy Division related video, but there's so little of that left now. I thought, no, this one I'll show it in Records Roundup, although there is something Hooky related coming up in one of 4 mail openings in a bit, so stay tuned, why don't you?
Why is the bedroom so cold? Turned away on your side. Is my timing not for our respect one so dry? Yet there still is appeal that we've kept through our lives. But love will tear us apart again. Love will tear us apart again. Love will tear us apart again. Love will tear us apart again.
We're still on singles, but we move over to eBay. This was a purchase from an American eBay seller. I think it must be some sort of indie record shop somewhere in America, and they had a load of these up on eBay, and you could make a best offer, and it wasn't up for much anyway. I didn't get a massive discount on it, and then postage was a lot more than the thing itself. But as in the last records roundup I showed you quite a bit of pulp, including 2 7-inches and a 12-inch single. There was another 12-inch that was cheap and quite easily available, not particularly in this country for some reason, but I was still happy to pay the price for After You. This kind of looks deliberately like a promo or even some sort of white label edition. It's got this rather dull but deliberately so rough trade disco 12-inch sticker on the back side of it. After You was their standalone single in 2013. There again, I always prepare all the information to go on screen, so that could be contradicting me. Usually the info on screen's right and what comes out of my gob is wrong. Soulwax get kind of equal billing here, as they provide the remix that is track number 1, but the normal version, the original version of After You, is on side B. So just another thing for the Pulp collection. This was like the last of the Pulp singles that I know aren't outrageously priced. I was hoping that I might be able to get some of the 90s 12 inches, but even they're quite high really. But happy to have that. Pulp and After You, their final physical release until, of course, Spike Island this year.
The last night on earth, when the horses run free, the scriptures foretell of a party in Hackney, in a dimly lit room full of loathing and hate. They're selling their souls, and I just can't wait. I shrivel inside at the sight of her beauty. I fall to the floor as she's shaking her booty. She said she, and then she, until I turn blue. Oh, the things we get up to get through the night. After You. After You. I knew it was wrong. I got to suspect when she came over and pressed the eject. I was up to the gunnels against all advice. Well, I felt so ashamed.
Right, we can move on to albums now, and here's a brand new album from one of my favourite groups, and it's their first studio album in, over 30 years. Wow. It is The Farm, Let the Music Take Control. Got this from Townsend Music, as this was, I think, like a Farm Store / Townsend Store exclusive bundle, where you get the album on coloured vinyl. There's a bonus 7-inch in here, and we will get it open and have a look. And also a signed print. And a signed print is quite piddling, really. That's the size of it. I mean, it's better than nothing. In a way, I would have rather the actual sleeve itself been signed, really, than them just bundling this thing in with it. But, oh well. Let's get this open and have a look. So The Farm's last studio album, and it's one I still don't own, because it only came out on CD. And weirdly, it never even got an official UK release, neither. It got released in the US and I think parts of Europe, but it never actually officially came out in the United Kingdom. Bizarrely enough, that was hullabaloo. I will endeavour to pick it up at some point. It'd be nice if it got a vinyl issue after all these years, because The Farm, I do collect them solely on vinyl. But if I want that album at some point, then I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and get the CD. But it's lovely to have them back though. And from what I've heard of this album so far, they've still got it. It's one of these inners that's all staticky and it's difficult to get the disc out. As you can see, it's like a light lime green. It's very nice. I wouldn't say it's particularly translucent or see-through. And as I say, there is a bonus 7-inch single in this, which I think only came with this Townsend exclusive version. I could be wrong on that. We have got another insert in here. Here's the bonus single on baby pink vinyl. So I've been excited to listen to this album ever since I heard it was coming out. Put my pre-order in more or less straight away. I mean, I don't think they've sort of split up for any great length of time over the last 3 decades. the farm. They've just kind of been a touring act really, but they did start going into the studio again. I think it was like the late 2010s, early 2020s, and it seemed to be building up to eventually they'd be releasing a new album, and finally it's here. Let the music take control. Oh, I can't forget this rather small signed print as well.
You got it in your soul. Here's the music in complete control. You know the highest walls broken down by R&B and soul. Take me back home. Take me to another world. You can feel the music in your soul. Can you feel the music take control? Let the music, let the music, let the music take control. Let the music, let the music, let the music be your soul. I see it in your eye.
There's nothing like a good impulse purchase, and this was certainly an impulse purchase for me, even though I've collected a few albums by this artist. But I was alerted to a sale on at Bear Tree Records in Sheffield, and it was for a particular label, and it's a label that I think's called, I'm looking at the thing before I show you, Finders Keepers Records. They basically reissue, or I suppose it's not even a reissue really, it's the first time release of old, seemingly lost music. And this was at £13.49 at Bear Tree, and I thought, you know what, as I do collect a few by that artist, I will get this. And it is Le Chemin de Kathmandu by Serge Gainsbourg and Jean-Claude Vanier. So it's a soundtrack album. The film Le Chemin de Kathmandu, that came out in the UK under the title The Pleasure Pit, I believe. I've never seen the film. I'm sure it's good. You know, anything from sort of the 1960s, even when it's foreign, you can sit me in front of and I'll enjoy it at the very least. The story behind this record, or this album, is long-time collectors of Serge Gainsbourg, and I suppose Jean-Claude Vanier, his partner in this endeavour, they had assumed that the master tapes for this had perished in a fire or something like that many decades ago, but they were discovered rather more in recent years, and Finders Keepers were able to put this out on soundtrack LP for the very first time. So don't know what it's like. It's going to be instrumental. I have got another Serge Gainsbourg movie soundtrack and it's instrumental, but it sounds really good, and I'm expecting similar sort of positive vibes from this one as well. So really pleased that I've got this, and at under £15 I thought, you know what, why not, let's just get it and see what it's like. Le Chemin de Kathmandu from Vanier and Gainsbourg. Apologies if my French pronunciation was rather terrible then. Believe it or not, I did do French at school, but I am going back now almost 30 years, so yeah. Anyway, we move on to a purchase from iMusic. This was another one that was pre-ordered as soon as I saw that it was announced, as this is a group who I've been wanting to collect all their studio albums, but there's still gaps in the collection, really from their mid to late 80s period into the 90s, but I'm waiting for them to be reissued as half-speed masters, and all of them seem to be getting released upon like a 40th anniversary. And this is the 40th anniversary of Junk Culture by Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. Nothing really much to speak of here, as it's black vinyl. There might be some sort of certification in here somewhere. It is a half-speed master, it does say on the hype sticker there, but it's not like a half-speed master with like an Obi strip or how the Paul McCartney archives do it. But the singles on here that I know, Tesla Girls, Locomotion. Not really familiar with the rest of the album, but it's just great to finally get back to putting some OMD studio albums into the collection. I think there's another 2 from the 80s and then Sugar Tax in the early 90s that's still yet to be reissued in recent years. So hopefully they will get anniversary reissues over the next few years, and one day I will have a full Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark OMD studio album collection. Here's hoping.
Went over my head. I've been patient, heaven knows. I've learned the rules and how it goes. I can't sit still or settle down. When I walk out on such the ground, see those girls that heaven bless. I guess it's so. Ring a bells, Tesla girls, writing in their diaries. Now and then they'll watch TV. Now and then they'll speak to me. The heaven knows they're SCP.
On now to 3 pickups, all of them Impulsive really, from Music on Vinyl in the Netherlands. But 2 of them I got because I'd been looking at them for ages in their sale section, and they're so cheap. I figured, you know what, it doesn't matter if these aren't even that good really, just the price they are. I might as well just bite the bullet and get them. And the third one, well, I'll get on to that. I'll explain a bit more about why I got that, because that was more full price when I get there. But the first one is, and you weren't expecting to see this group on Records Roundup today, Awake and Breathe by Bewitched. The Irish girl group, their second and I think to date final album, although when they reformed in more recent years they have released a couple of EPs I think, and they've probably had a greatest hits compilation or 2 out on CD over the years. This was something, I was aiming to get this on mini disc years ago because I've got their first album, their self-titled album Bewitched, on mini disc. And yes, that will be something that will get reviewed for Mini Disc Monday at some point. I can't say when because I choose them at random really. But I'd missed out on this on mini disc years ago, and when I looked for it in more recent times, the price had shot up, but that's not surprising. It's nothing to do with it being Bewitched really. It's just the fact that mini disc collecting has got even more popular than even when I started kind of 10 years ago. And it was getting to be a bit of a money pit even back then. But Music on Vinyl reissued this a couple of years or so back, and they've had it in their sales section for ages at I think £11, and I thought, you know what, just so that I've got both of Bewitched studio albums, I'll get it. The only single on here I think I know is Jessie Hold On. I think I may have actually heard I Shall Be There as well, that features Ladysmith Black Mambazo, but I don't think I've heard anything else on here. We'll get it open, which is always a little bit of a faff when it's Music on Vinyl because of their dreaded adhesive outers, but it's coloured vinyl this, so while I'm here I might as well show you. Surprisingly it's not a gatefold, a lot of Music on Vinyl releases are. Has it got some sort of insert in here? Yes, it has. That'll be like a larger facsimile of the CD insert, I would think. Just look on the hype, see what they call the colour of this. Ah, okay. They're calling it green and white marbled. Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. The white marbling is sort of faint, but I can see it. I do like it. It's not exactly trendy to even admit you like Bewitched, let alone own one or more of their albums, but their first album, Bewitched, it had 4 #1 singles on it, and all of them are fun, really. I even owned, I think, the first 3 of their singles on CD back when they came out in kind of 1997, 98, I think it would have been. So I've got a lot of time for the girls, really. I mean, there was certainly like an Irish take on the Spice Girls in a lot of ways, coming along as they did maybe a couple of years later than the Spice Girls, but they released some great pop songs. This album, I don't think, you know, it's got any sort of instant classics on it like Celebi, Roller Coaster, etc. But I'm looking forward to hearing it, and for £11, a bargain, really. Awake and Breathe. Also from Music on Vinyl, in the same order, and even cheaper than Bewitched, believe it or not, this is what was a Record Store Day, or it might be an RSD Black Friday release, one or the other, from a year or 2 back. And this cost £7 in Music on Vinyl's clearance/sale section. It is dupe, and circus dupe. Now this really is a punt. I mean, the only track from Dupe I know is their eponymous single that absolutely plagued everyone's ear holes when it was released in, I think, 1994, was it? 93, 94. Might have some sort of original copyright date on there. No, it doesn't. It just says copyright 2022. So that's when this was reissued. This came out in a couple of different colour formats. The one I chose is Cotton Candy, and it's limited to 500 copies. My copy is number 353, by the way. It does have Dupe, the single Dupe, on it. It's one of those, I liked it when I first heard it because it was unique. You know, you heard like sort of ragtime, Charleston type music in a Eurodance song, and it was a bit of a novelty, and then it just got overplayed and it got annoying quick. So, you know, I've not heard it hardly in the last 30 years, and I do collect Eurodance, as you know. So at £7, I thought, you know, even if all the album is kind of irritating like the single was to me, I've only paid £7 for it, and it is limited to 500 copies. Although obviously that's no reflection on it being valuable, because they're just trying to get rid of all the copies at Music on Vinyl by reducing them so cheap. So let's have a look what the Cotton Candy looks like. Yeah, it's pink. I think the other colour variant may have been yellow. I didn't really care which one I got, really. They were both up there for £7 as well, so if you want this album and you might want to get both colour variants, then you should still be in luck. At the time of me recording this, they'll both still be available for £7 each. It's Music on Vinyl, although their postage to the UK anyway usually starts at around £10. You might end up paying more for postage than for the actual album itself, but even so, I don't know why I'm trying to sell people this, really. I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. I don't know. It's going to be one of those, listen to it and then maybe it'll never get listened to again, but maybe it'll become at least a guilty pleasure, if not a not guilty pleasure. But that is, and I think it's their second studio album, Circus Dupe by Dupe. Right, the third and final from the bundle I purchased at Music on Vinyl. This one was up at full price. I already owned this album, but for some reason, I can't really explain why, it's just I feel like I want to kind of upgrade some of my copies of some of these albums, even though there's nothing wrong with the previous original copies, and I've sold a couple of them already as well. But I decided that I would get this edition of Stella by Yellow. I think it's got a bonus track on this that didn't feature on my original copy. I sold this for a couple of quid on eBay recently. I thought about keeping it and passing it on as VCLT to someone, and as I think I might try and get the rest of the reissued Yellow LPs. Yes, I do prefer reissues to originals largely. If anyone does want some Yellow vinyl, and it will be original as well, just let me know in the comments or shoot me a message somewhere, and I'll put some aside for you when I eventually upgrade the particular album, like I have done with two here. You know, I'm not making exactly a fortune off them on eBay, but I do fancy getting these newer editions. I'm not sure what year this came out. I think this is for a re-release. It's quite old. I was surprised that it was still in stock at Music on Vinyl, because it's got, I think, a 2014 copyright date on here. Stella from Yellow. And then also, sticking with Yellow, this was just such a good deal, and this is probably what prompted me to just kind of upgrade my Yellow originals to reissues anyway, but this was like half the price of all the similar reissues in this series. And it is 1 Second. And this is not a Music on Vinyl reissue, but this is one of the, who will it be, Polydor presumably, reissues that came out a few years ago, where they bundle a 12-inch single with each album. Gold Rush is the single that's included here, and Gold Rush is coloured vinyl. I'm not going to get this unsealed, I'm just going to leave this because this will take ages otherwise, and I have got more to show you obviously. So whenever I look for these album with 12-inch double sets for Yellow, they're always around the sort of £40 is about the cheapest really generally for all of them, and they've released in this format from their first album to, I think, Flag from 1988. But this had been reduced by quite a lot at a lot of places. I was going to get it from Resident Music, but I didn't pull the trigger on it, and then I missed out. Someone snapped it up, it kept showing up in their sale, and then the moment I decided I would get it in their sale, someone had got the last copy. But it was a similar price at Asai Records in Glasgow. This would have been about £22-23, which is almost half price really for these. Why 1 Second is the one that gets reduced at a couple of places and the rest don't, I'm not sure. Maybe more of these were pressed and there's a bit of a dearth of them perhaps, but I'm hoping the other ones do as well. I mean, I'm not worried about Stella because I've got the Music on Vinyl reissue, and it doesn't matter, although it's nice to get a bonus 12-inch single. That's not like the only reason that I'm getting them. It's just makes it even better value. Really happy that I've got 1 Second and Gold Rush, and as I say, my Yellow collection, I've got all their albums, but some of the early original ones from the 1980s I have been selling off, but there is still some that I will endeavour to replace. So if just anyone's interested, I can't say I'll be sending them you right away, but any that I decide that I'm upgrading, I'll put them aside. I'll put the originals aside for you if you're interested, and they're a great duo. I've talked about yellow before. I really do recommend getting into them if you haven't yet.
So won't you come close, bring this to an end, with each winter rose, my love I will send, so tender the night, when you hold me tight, with you in my heart, the rhythm divine. You know that these tears
Also from Asai, along with yellow, was another Impulse purchase here, but it's a singer I know a little bit of because I've heard a couple of her tracks when she was in the band Nightwish, and also she features on a track with Within Temptation that I really like as well. And I'm talking about Tarja, the Finnish kind of, I think she's classed as a soprano, and this is possibly her second album, I think, second solo album, My Winter Storm. And I got this for two reasons. One, it was cheap, it was like £13 from Asai, so I just bundled it in with the yellow purchase. And also, she does a version of Poison by Alice Cooper on this, and that's one of my favourite kind of hard rock, heavy metal tracks of all time, Poison by Alice Cooper, so I was very intrigued to hear that. It's a double album. I think this is like a 15th anniversary issue on translucent blue vinyl. I suppose now that I've said it's got a colour to it, I better get it open and show you. We've still got a bit more coloured vinyl left as well. I said there's a lot to look at today. It don't feel that long since I last recorded one of these, but I've just obviously got a bit mad with purchasing. Hopefully I can get this out easily enough. Or one of the discs, they're both going to look the same. Yeah, translucent blue, that's nice. That seems to look pretty good on camera already as well. It's another kind of dip of the toe in the symphonic metal waters, really, getting this Tarja album. I don't think I'm going to start collecting her or Nightwish, and she isn't the current vocalist for Nightwish. She left that group quite some years ago. I think they've had 3 different vocalists altogether at least. But just as kind of like a one-off purchase at around £13, why not? I'm sure I'll enjoy not only her cover of Poison, but most of what else is on here. I do love the artwork as well, very wintry as you would expect. Tarja, My Winter Storm. Now on to a couple of pickups from Juno, although they were ordered on different occasions. The second one to show you is one that I actually pre-ordered, and I don't tend to pre-order really at Juno, but I really wanted to make sure I got that, but onto that in a moment. I'm about to open this before I've even talked about it. It is Best of Cyber People. It's a ZYX compilation. It is really kind of the same sort of deal as the greatest hits and remixes, of which I've shown a few of those recently, and quite a lot over the past few years. The kind of cheap as chips compilation albums from kind of Italo artists mostly, but there is sort of like Eurodance and even sort of happy hardcore artists in there as well. But I wanted to get this, and there's something else I've been kind of dithering about for a while, but then I thought, you know what, I collect ZYX compilations, I don't know why I just don't buy this, and it's cheap enough anyway. I think excluding postage it was under £15. But Cyber People, their track Dr. Faustus, which is track 3 on side A, although there is a Swedish remix, which that might be the one I'm more familiar with actually, on side B. But that was the track that really got me into Italo disco. So I've got Cyber People to thank for really being the proper first gateway into falling in love with that genre. It's an instrumental track largely, as I think all of these on here are. I will get this open as it comes on limited coloured vinyl, says the notice at the bottom. That looks like it should be a hype sticker, but it's not, it's just printed on the sleeve. But I believe this is purple or violet vinyl. Yeah, that's proper purple, that. Like that. Not sure exactly who's in Cyber People. Like a lot of these Italo acts of the 1980s, they're all sort of anonymous really. You can kind of go digging and find out who did what, and you'll find a lot of them sort of went under assumed names and was in more than one act that you might be familiar with anyway. So it seems like a sort of little cottage industry in continental Europe, Italy mainly for obvious reasons. But Best of Cyber People, really happy that I finally got round to getting that. Also from Juno, this was the one I pre-ordered. Quite expensive this, I think about £50, but it is a 4LP set, and I pre-ordered it rather than just wait for it to come into stock like I normally do with Juno, because I just wanted to make sure I'd definitely get this, because for all I knew they might only get one of these in stock, and if someone else snapped it up before me, then that's my tough shit really. But it's the latest Gigi D'Agostino album reissue on vinyl, and this one is, and you heard me butcher some French earlier on, now I'm going to do the same to Italian, Lento, Violento e Altre Storie. There you go, loads of tracks on it. Some of them I'm familiar with, some I've never heard before. That's the thing with Gigi, he's got such a massive back catalogue. You can go searching for him on, say, YouTube and hear stuff that's by him, and you know, you had no idea he'd even done it before. You know, it's just one of those really sort of consistent, maybe even over consistent, as some people might say. But the stuff on here that I do know, I love. Lento Violento, which is basically like a slow style of dance music. He's got the copyright to that name, so he kind of considers himself the inventor of that particular style. Black vinyl this is, I'm not going to get it open. Expensive, but as soon as I saw that this was getting reissued on vinyl for the first time as well, it'd only been out on CD and digital prior, I had to have it. Lento Violento e Altre Storie from Gigi. can now move on to 4 male openings. I know we've been here ages and I've seen 4 male openings, but don't worry, I'll go as quick as I can. And this one here, as you can see, this won't take long because it is just a 7-inch single. This is from Rough Trade. This is a single that I believe it's like an unofficial reissue. The actual original of this, or even the first reissue which came along the following year or a few months later in the late 70s, go for ridiculous money. But I saw this up for pre-order at Rough Trade and I think I had a 10% off voucher, so I thought, you know what, I'll get it. And it looks very good with that big sticker on the front, but it is Joy Division, An Ideal for Living. So this was Joy Division's debut release, their debut EP. The label says Culture Sound Records. Apparently it's a 2025 reissue, but it's unofficial, as you would expect with a lot of Joy Division stuff. It does have the original Bernard Sumner designed Hitler Youth sleeve though. Yeah, sort of like a wraparound sleeve by the looks of it, but it has got an inner sleeve as well. I think the vinyl is just black, so I won't spend too long on that one. This was about, including postage, I think with the 10% discount, it was around £15 or £16. So just one to put in the Joy Division and New Order singles collection. This next one, it's kind of already opened really, but I'm treating it as a male opening as it came today, but it had all that sort of plastic wrapping off it, which I took off before I started filming, and basically now it's just sandwiched in a bit of old cardboard. But this came via Every today, more on them in a moment. It's a Discogs purchase as well. This is The World of Vinyl Groover, Part 1. As people thinking he's shown some weird shit today, and this is kind of the tip of the iceberg really. Vinyl Groover is, or was, I mean he's still alive, don't get me wrong, but he was in his heyday in the late 90s a happy hardcore artist and producer, and he released a couple of studio albums. I don't know if you can really call them studio albums. And when I saw that I could get this for £10 and then postage was about another £6 or something like that, I thought, you know what, I don't really own a happy hardcore album by one artist. In fact, I'm certain I don't. I've got happy hardcore tracks, mostly on 12-inch, and then some on compilations and things, but he recorded my very favourite happy hardcore song of all time, Time, and the version on this album is the Vinyl Groover remix. I believe on the World of Vinyl Groover Part 2 there's a different mix of Time on there. I've heard many different versions, I've got a lot of them digitally. Yeah, I couldn't resist this really. This is a release from 1997. Then I'll give you a look at one of the discs. It is a 2 LP set. Time, if you weren't aware, is kind of like a cover version of Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time, which is one of my favourite songs of all time anyway. It's one of those, it's been covered a lot, and you'd think, well, I love the original, so I'm gonna kind of be dismissive of anyone who tries to do a version, but every time I hear a different version of it by a different artist, I always enjoy it. It's funny, I've heard reggae versions, I've heard kind of mashups, I've heard acoustic versions of it, and I thought they've all been good to great really, but my favourite, probably even more than the Cyndi original, is Vinyl Groover's version, although he kind of changes the lyrics a little bit in it, probably so that he doesn't have to pay too much in his own royalties out to Cyndi and co. This is one of the things I'm most excited about out of all this stuff today really, to put this on the turntable. The World of Vinyl Groover Part 1 screams late 90s rave hardcore culture to me as well, that. Just 2 more to go now. Yes, we've been here ages. It's shaping up to be one of the biggest records roundups so far, and I've been stood here for a long time and I'm ready for a sit down. So let's get this done quickly. This one, another Discogs purchase that came today. I did allude to this on the last records roundup, that I was waiting for it. That wasn't the one that I got. I'll explain in a moment. This is the KLF, the What Time Is Love story, or the What Time Is Love LP. I've seen it credited as both. It says LP rather than story on the sleeve. I'd upgraded my copy of The White Room that showed you in Records Roundup 84, and I said that I was waiting for this, and it had been sent out, but it never turned up. It wasn't the seller's fault. She provided me, this is a Discog seller by the way, with tracking via Every, and Every, for the most part, I know they've got a bad reputation with a lot of people, but for the most part I've not had any issues with them. And the tracking number was fine and everything, but it just said for weeks and weeks, we're expecting this in our network. So eventually it was like somewhere between the parcel shop the seller dropped it off at and Every's network, it's got lost, hasn't it? So she gave me a refund without any quibbles, and I was able to pick this up for, this was a similar price to what I would have paid her. In fact, I think this was slightly cheaper ultimately from another UK seller. And the What Time Is Love story, or LP, is basically all different versions of the KLF's breakthrough hit What Time Is Love that came out all over Europe. Now, there is conspiracies abound that, especially as it's classed as a KLF album, this, but really it's KLF various artists, but the theorists among the KLF fan community think that all of the tracks on here are actually by the KLF. They're just done in different styles of European dance music at the time. They've just got different artist names, really. Some of them not that different. I think there's one called KLFS, I think. Yeah, that's the Italian mix on side 1. But this felt like a hole in the KLF collection, and not an expensive one. This was about £20, I think. For KLF, collecting them can be a bit of a money pit. It seemed like a no-brainer really to get this into the collection. The What Time Is Love story. And finally, another purchase from Juno, but one only made yesterday, as that was when it came in stock. It's a new release, this. Something else that I have mentioned about on the last records roundup. I said that I was aiming to get this from Juno. And of course, Juno, they send stuff out first class, even when you're ordering kind of late on, sort of early evening time. They'll get it in the post, and chances are you'll receive it the next day. And it is the new Sally Shapiro album, Ready to Live a Lie. So my Sally Shapiro album collection is complete now. Originally I was going to order this from Sally Shapiro's Bandcamp page, but with extra postage and then the bundled taxes on the postage seemingly, it seemed quite expensive. I would have got it from there if I knew there wasn't anywhere in this country that was getting copies in, but then when I saw Juno were due to have copies in early July, and their postage is like £5 for first class delivery, then I thought I'd get it, and the album itself was, I think, £30, by the way. The version I've got just says that it's coloured vinyl. I think it's blue. I'm not going to get it open because this is a massive video now. I will edit it down as much as I can, and you've seen a lot of vinyl, and you've seen at least a couple of blue discs today. This is where I'm just going to say, yeah, it's blue vinyl. It should be anyway. The other variant was pink, but I don't actually think they had any of the pink ones in, so perhaps these arrived first. I didn't really care which I got, I just wanted the album. So as soon as I saw that the blue vinyl was available, I purchased it, and it arrived the following day, i.e. today. So, double album, can't wait to hear it. Ready to Live a Lie, Sally Shapiro.
Maybe I pulled a change, coming closer and asked you. I know I should keep my feelings inside and not tell you. But all the other days are bittersweet when I lie to you. Think about the other days I make believe and I smile at you. Living on my because it makes me feel stronger. In a way, it makes it easy to handle.
And that's Records Roundup 85. Wow, biggest yet, I would have thought. I'm kind of looking back thinking I probably should have filmed this a week or so back, even longer, and then sort of saved some stuff for Records Roundup 86. But hey, it didn't feel that long since the last one. Obviously, there's been a lot of pre-orders come in, a few impulse purchases there, so a lot to show you. But if you did stick with me till the bitter end, then thank you very much for watching this, and I want to say special thanks, of course, to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, no more waffle from me, so I'm just going to ask that you join me again next time for my next Records Roundup and record collecting video. Cheers everyone. See ya!